And everybody, let's bring in retired military intelligence officer Steve Rogers, as well as retired FBI agent and the president and CEO of Kronos Investigation, Colin Schmitt. And also, we continue with our great special guest this morning, criminal defense attorney Ken Belkin. Steve, your thoughts about how Christopher Wray did, and what I just mentioned too about addressing any changes. There wasn't really any clear evidence that things had changed at the FBI, even after the Richmond memo, even after the issues with parents, school boards, all that stuff. He wasn't really able to lay out a concrete change.
A few points. Number one, he either blatantly lied to that committee, or two, he has no idea what's going on in his agency. Rita, when I worked at FBI headquarters in Washington, I could tell you, it's the agents on the ground, the field agents, that are saving America from another terrorist attack, not the leadership. So the entire leadership of the FBI, beginning with Christopher Wray, has to go. The American people have no confidence, no trust in the work that they're doing.
Colin, your thoughts. Do you think that needs to happen to restore trust in the FBI? There's some great men and women who work for the FBI, but there seems to be a bit of politics at the top.
Well, I agree with Mr. Rogers. As a career field agent and a career supervisor field agent, my frustration, it goes out for the field. Every day, something else comes out about what FBI headquarters did, and then when I was in at the tail end, we'd get another training dealing with whatever mistake was made at FBI headquarters. Yes, there needs to be some changes at headquarters. I don't know if everybody needs to go, but there certainly needs to be some sort of accountability, because the frustration is not only on the right, but even the left is starting to get frustrated with what is happening at the FBI headquarters.
Ken Belkin, how could there be accountability, especially when you're dealing with something like the FBI? Who investigates the FBI?
Yeah, I mean, at its root, you've got to take politics out of law enforcement, because you are always going to run the risk of law enforcement becoming politicized. I feel like I sound like Kamala Harris saying that, because it's just so obvious. And that's the hallmark of a third world country, is that their law enforcement apparatuses are politicized. They go after the opposition. They go after dissenting viewpoints. It's something you don't want in a free society, which is what we're supposed to be.
You know, Steve, members of the House Judiciary Committee, also in the middle of all this, were particularly alarmed by the FBI's censorship of Americans on social media. We just heard Congresswoman Harriet Hageman talking about this. Here is how Director Wray responded when he was pressed, speaking about politics, which Ken was just talking about.
Elvis Chan testified under oath in charge of this for you. He said 50%. He had a 50% success rate in having alleged election disinformation taken down or censored. That wasn't just foreign adversaries, sir. That was American citizens. How do you answer for that?
Well, first off, I'm not sure that's a correct characterization.
Comes right out of the opinion. You should read it.
Of his testimony. But what I would say is the FBI is not in the business of moderating content or causing any social media company to suppress or censor.
That is not what the court has found.
And that isn't what the court found. You know, Ken Belkin, real quick, you're shaking your head, because that's very different than what the court said.
I mean, having an administration use their law enforcement to reach out to social media, the public square, you can't let people talk about this election being stolen. Whatever your views on, or whether it was stolen or not, that's what someone who steals elections would want to do, in my mind. And that's very strange behavior. Why can't people talk about election irregularities? What is the FBI so afraid of?
Yeah, and also the Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, there's so many things here. You know, Colin, how do you undo the damage of these items being suppressed, which we saw, like the New York Post, the Hunter Biden story, whatever the information was, they say they didn't do it. But look, and even the 51 intel agents that signed that letter that Joe Biden did during the debate. Now we find out that that was being worked behind the scenes from the campaign of the Joe Biden team. How do you undo that? You can't.
Well, I agree. And, you know, the FBI is in the business of gathering facts. That's it. The FBI gathers facts. It was unconscionable for them to go anywhere or to any private entity and ask them to modify their behaviors for whatever reason. And it just doesn't make any sense. And in terms of, you hit the nail on the head, the horses are out of the barn. Now the FBI has to make some really hard choices and make some real change at the top. to bring back the confidence of the American people, because right now it's not just on the right. The left is starting to ask some questions here about all these FISA behaviors and some of the other things, and the FBI needs to start figuring out a way of getting in front of all of this.
Yeah, can they get in front of this, Steve Rogers?
Well, they could if to change the leadership. And Rita, I'll tell you, I'd rather have a dozen New York City police detectives up at FBI headquarters. They'll clean house. They'll clean up the mess with the Biden laptop. They'll do what has to be done. That entire leadership team has to go. But to my credit to the field agents, God bless them all. They're still doing this job under these most difficult circumstances. So let's keep our eye on the ball, and hopefully things will work out well as we move forward.
Absolutely. We want the best for our country, first and foremost. Thank you, guys, all of you, very, very much. We appreciate it. Great to see you, Steve and Colin, and Ken, stay with us.